as we move ever onwards towards Shavuos, it's worthwhile stopping and reflecting for a couple of minutes where we exactly are. If we were born as a nation in a two-part process with Kriyas Yamsuf, with Yitzias Mitzrayim and then Kriyas Yamsuf, that means we are an infant. We're a young child. What happens? What are the stages of development of young children? The first thing that happens, and Rav Hutner puts this magnificently, he says perhaps one of the most remarkable things about the Shira is that for the first time the nation spoke about itself in the first person. We were self-aware. We realized we exist. Have you ever noticed a little child, well, then suddenly when they finally realize that this thing at the end of these arms, they're mine, and I can move them, and I can, that level of self-awareness. Now that's simple mobility, but this is beyond. When we are in this stage of becoming more aware as a spiritual young juvenile, what is it that we really need to learn more than anything else? And the answer is values, which is why we read Pirkei Avos. We need to be self-aware. We need to understand why we do the things that we do and not just do them. And we need to build up a strong, coherent structure of values, which is always, of course, based on Midas. And it struck me this Shabbos as I was reading Pirkei Avos, Perek Aleph, the very first piece of advice. After we talk about the Shalsheles Hayuchsin, the Masorah, the chain of tradition, the Nevi'im, the Anshe Knesset Agdola, Heim Omu Shloisha Devarim, they said three things. And the very first thing, the first piece of ethical advice in Pirkei Avos is Hevu Mesunim Badin. Be temperate, be measured, be deliberate, be slow. Lahamtin is to wait, Badin in judgment. And you might make the fatal error of thinking, well, this is just for Dayanim. Says Rabbi Yisrael Salanta famously, everybody is a Dayan. We make judgments thousands of times a day, judgments about situations, about people, and often they are what we call in English snap judgments, knee-jerk reactions. We've kind of made our mind up anyway about a person, about a situation, and then we retrofit what we observe to meet our expectations. Psychologists call this confirmation bias. We've made up our minds. Say the Anshe Knesset Agdola to us, the first thing that you need to do, that we all need to do, as we go through the day and things happen to us, we form judgments. Sometimes they are prejudice, which means to prejudge. The first thing to do is stop. Don't just think that something is the way it is because I think so, because all too often I haven't thought so. Stop and think about it a bit. Reflect. Maybe not. Maybe the person didn't think it that way. Maybe they didn't mean it that way. Why do we make the conclusions that we do? And the very first lesson that we all need to learn, and try and practice this at a practical level, say 3 times a day. When something happens to you and you are challenged, stop. Just stop. Reflect for 5 seconds and think it through. Maybe challenge yourself, maybe to see whatever it is that just happened, see it in a different light. And you will see things in a different light. And when you see and experience things in a different light, life is different. Have a great day.